TIFU on Reddit. Like, subscribe, let's go. Today I fucked up by realizing the older woman I have been sleeping with for months is my coworker's mom. Throwaway account. This literally happened like an hour ago. So I have been involved with an older woman lately. It started a few months ago with the onset of coronavirus. I was on Tinder trying to find someone to hook up with during quarantine so as to stay safe and also kill some time. I saw this very attractive older woman and decided to swipe right because it's every 20-something-year-old's dream to hook up with a MILF. A few days go by and I get a notification that I have a new match. Woohoo! I open up the app and lo and behold, it's the finest cougar I was hoping for. We start chatting and flirting. It's going really well. Out of nowhere she messages me and says, I am not sure how this app works. Do we just meet to have sex or do we go on a date first? I was drinking coffee at the time and promptly shot it out both nostrils. My chance had come. I replied back that people generally just meet up to go to the bone zone together, but I am easy either way. She replies, well, good, because I hate formalities. I nearly shit my pants in excitement. She sends me her address and tells me she is free on Friday and to bring wine. The rest of that whole week was a complete blur of anxiety. I could not fuck this up. So Friday comes, I show up with wine. She looks fucking smoking hot. Better in person. We talk about music and traveling and all that. Not many personal details, which would come back to haunt me, just sort of arts and culture talk. A few glasses of wine later and we're full-blown going at it like rabbits on the middle of her living room floor. I left a little while later feeling like I am the king of the entire universe and go to sleep. The next day she texts me saying how she had a great time, and it made her feel young again and blah blah blah. She says she is off every Friday and Saturday and that next week we should do the same. This has been going on for roughly 3 months. We meet up once or twice a week, fuck like animals, and then go on our merry way until one of us gets horny again. Sweet deal, right? Wrong. I messaged her yesterday saying that I had today off of work and asked if she wanted to meet up. She said her son was taking her out to lunch, and that I could come over at 3 p.m. She had mentioned she had a son before but didn't go any further, and I didn't really care to ask. So 3 p.m. comes and I am almost at her house when she messages me that she is running late. No problem. I park on the road and sort of just wait in my car because her car was not in the driveway yet. I am sitting there listening to the radio when an oddly familiar SUV pulls into the drive. I sorta looked at it funny and then I immediately realized where I knew it from. My coworker jumps out of the front seat, goes around to her side of the vehicle, gives her a kiss on the cheek and a hug, and then jumps back in the car. My Joe was on the ground. He reversed out of the driveway and stupid me is sitting like a deer in the headlights in plain sight. He turns around and is literally 10 feet in front of my car and staring directly at me. My face goes bright red and I feel like I am going to vomit. Me and this guy work together every single day and I consider him a friend of mine. I even trained him when he started at my company. And the kicker is I have been telling him in detail about this older lady and he has been giving me immense kudos about it, saying that it's his dream. He pulls up beside me and looks very confused, asks me what I am doing and how funny it was we ran into each other. I panic completely and stumble over my words and pretend like I am on the wrong street and trying to find my cousin's house. He looked skeptical but sort of shrugged it off. The whole time his mother is standing there watching us through the curtains. He directs me where to go and I pull off and then circle back once he is gone. Needless to say, I went inside and told her what was up, and we both sort of sat there in silence before I left. No boom boom today. I am now panicking. There is no way he is not going to know, right? And he is gonna realize all these wild escapades with this she-devil night mistress I have been telling him about is actually his mom. Fuck. I already called in sick for work tomorrow because I cannot look him in the eye. Will update if anything happens. Pray for my soul, Reddit. Today, I fucked up by buying everyone an Ancestry DNA kit and ruining Christmas. Earlier this year, Ancestry DNA had a sale on their kit. I thought it would be a great gift idea, so I bought 6 of them for Christmas presents. Today my family got together to exchange presents for our Christmas Eve tradition, and I gave my mom, dad, brother and 2 sisters each a kit. As soon as everyone opened their gift at the same time, my mom started freaking out. She told us how she didn't want us taking them because they had unsafe chemicals. We explained to her how there were actually no chemicals, but we could tell she was still flustered. Later she started trying to convince us that only one of us kids need to take it, since we will all have the same results, and to resell extra kits to save money. Fast forward, our parents have been fighting upstairs for the past hour, and we are downstairs trying to figure out who has a different debt. Today, I fucked up by banging my first cousin, so, didn't happen today, but last weekend. Finally getting around to really processing it all and I guess trying to deal with it. Went out for drinks with my girlfriend and met up with my younger cousin at the bar. We would all hung out once before and had a great time. My cousin invited a couple of her friends to the bar too. We did some bar hopping. I got shit-faced pretty unintentionally. The last bar was, I swear, not putting any mixers in my cocktails. They were straight alcohol. So anyway, we are about to leave and my cousin's friends are trying to get her home, because she is shit-faced too. Well, my girlfriend was our DD, so we offered to let her stay in our spare room. Everyone was cool with it because who's safer than family, right? Wrong. We get home and I had to piece together some of this later because I blacked out for most of it. Apparently initially everything was cool. My cousin went to the spare room and my GF got her situated. The problem started a little later when I, in my infinite wisdom, decided to walk straight out of my bedroom with my girlfriend in it, and into my cousin's room. I don't particularly remember much except for the details which I guess are not important to the story. Well, okay, so one might be. I remember her giving me a very enthusiastic BJ, which, as you can imagine, makes a lot of noise. Apparently after a while my girlfriend came out of the room wondering where I was because I just fucking disappeared. She didn't barge into the room or anything, but she heard the noises, which is pretty fucking obvious. So at that point, she left. Like me, she left me and I don't blame her. Anyway, that means I wake up the next morning, having blacked out, oblivious that my GF was gone already, but I am fucking naked next to my naked cousin. There is cum all over the bed where her face was. She didn't even sleep with a pillow. There is obviously no hiding this, but I am still half drunk and I went to try to go sneak back into my room, which I found empty. So yeah, I have not heard from my GF all week, and I am sure we are done and I don't blame her. All I can hope for now is that this shit does not get out to my family, because I would probably implode. No, my cousin and I are not going to start hooking up regularly. It's actually super awkward and she has hardly said a word to me either. Again, I don't blame her. Today, I fucked up by stuffing my face with edibles before dinner with my wife's parents. Recently, I traveled to Denver, Colorado with my wife and my wife's parents. As a resident of a non-legalized state and as someone who is too much of a pussy to regularly buy illegal drugs, the thing I was looking forward to most was the chance to buy fancy legal weed. What could possibly go wrong? So the first thing I do upon arriving, and after successfully ditching the in-laws, is drag my wife to a nearby dispensary for a shopping spree. And oh my god, it was just like in my dreams. Tons of different options in neat little sample jars and a team of helpful stoners walking me through the various strains. Are you looking for a mellow body high? Or do you want something that gives you a bit more pap and energy? Or are you just hoping for something light to take the stress off? Yes, yes and yes, I reply eagerly, like a fat kid in a candy store, and request an 1/8 ounce of about 7 different options. In hindsight, if I learned anything from this experience, it is that my math and science teachers never taught me basic information, like what is an ounce, or how much weed can a person consume in a single weekend. Sure, I can tell you when two speeding trains leaving separate stations will collide or recite Avogadro's number, but it turns out that none of that information is particularly relevant to getting high in a responsible and efficient manner. And it was at this dispensary that I also learned that you can't actually smoke in public places, including the hotel that my wife and I were staying at. As a result, before leaving, I begged my wife to buy some edibles that I could munch on until we found a place to properly get lit. After expressing shock as to the absurd volume of drugs that we were buying, unlike me, she is the product of private school and understands the imperial measurement system, she relents, and we walk out of the store with what felt like a dump truck of weed plus a small package of seemingly innocuous Ginger Snap cookies. When we finally get back to the hotel room, I tear those bad boys open, only to find about a dozen tiny cookies roughly the size of a quarter. What the fuck, Denver? Seeing the skepticism and hunger in my eyes, my wife warns me that I should go easy and look at the back of the package first before trying one. Dose size, 1/2 cookie. I read silently as I start taking micro bites from the edges, like a giant chinchilla gnawing on a sunflower seed. But what kind of a savage only eats half a cookie? so a second later, I covertly pop the remainder into my mouth. And then I quickly stuff another 2 cookies in my mouth for good measure the moment my wife turns her back. We may not have legal weed back home, but I routinely devour an entire package of Milanos in one sitting without breaking a sweat. Your move, tiny ginger snaps. About 30 minutes later we are in the backseat of her parents' rental car on the way to dinner. And that's when things start to go tits up. My stomach growls, loudly and angrily. My wife looks at me with inquisitive eyes that seem to say diarrhea, but I merely clutch my tummy and mumble something about altitude sickness. You didn't eat a whole cookie, did you? She asks, 10% in genuine concern and 90% in seething irritation. Of course not, I respond, avoiding eye contact for the remainder of the car ride. A few minutes later we are climbing out of her parents' rental car and heading into some trendy farm-to-table restaurant. I don't remember how I made it to my seat, and I don't remember even looking at the menu, but I do remember the concerned look on the waiter's face as he asked me if I was doing alright. Keep it together, man, I say to myself, but my wife's sudden groan suggests that I may have also said that to the waiter. Things are going downhill fast. The waiter nods sympathetically, takes our orders, and then heads to the next table. The moment he walks away, my wife is staring daggers at me. I start to worry that the jig is up. You are sweating from your entire face, she says with both pity and disgust. Not quite knowing what to do, I reach for my napkin and proceed to blot my cheeks, nose, neck, chin and forehead. At this point, my wife's mom looks over at me with some concern. Are you alright? She asks kindly. Yeah, the food's just a bit spicy, I reply, far too quick to realize that we had literally just ordered and that there is nothing on the table except for a basket of dinner rolls. My wife kicks me under the table to grab my attention. Bathroom, now, she hisses, get it together. I reluctantly get up from the table and head for the toilet. After splashing several handfuls of water on my face, I approach a urinal and start to pee. Now, one of the more disconcerting effects of those tiny ginger snap monsters is the feeling that time has become untethered from reality. As I am peeing, I start to get the very unsettling feeling that I have been taking a piss for the better part of an hour and that my wife must be pacing around the restaurant worried about me. But deep down I know that is absurd. I have been peeing all my life, sometimes multiple times a day. I have probably taken more than 50,000 leaks, and it usually only takes about a minute at most. So given that my typical pee is no more than 60 seconds and given that it feels like I am about halfway done, that means that I have probably only been standing here about 30 seconds, right? But the guy at the urinal next to me does not respond, and instead starts shuffling away from me midstream, like a startled penguin. I try, albeit unsuccessfully, to break eye contact. After finally finishing, I again splash some water on my face and return to my seat, making sure to apologize to the table for being gone such a long time just in case my math was off. Next, I try briefly to engage in small talk with my wife's father, but I am far too high to understand what either of us are saying, not wanting to start laughing uncontrollably at the wrong moment or, really, at any moment. I figure the safest idea is to nod my head periodically and drink a ton of water. Nothing cures mental fatigue like water, right? To my wife's horror, I stand up, grab my water glass and thrust it out to the waiter, who unfortunately is on the opposite side of the restaurant, but he turns out to be really cool and, after making his way over to our table, tells me that he'll do his best to keep me stocked with ice water for the rest of the meal. He also helpfully suggests that if the dinner rolls are not too spicy for me, I should probably eat one or two so that I am not sitting there on an empty stomach. Smart man. However, after going through all of the bread on the table and 3 glasses of water, I start to get worried that I need actual food to offset the growing paranoia from those tiny ginger snap devils. Do you think I should flag down the waiter again and ask what's taking so long? I suggest helpfully to my wife. What? We literally just ordered 3 fucking minutes ago, and at that exchange, my wife loses her cool. How many cookies did you eat? She demands. Whoa, easy there, Torquemada. I respond, somewhat horrified at her outburst. I had a few cookies, but keep it down. I don't want your parents to know how fucked up I am right now. Really, they are sitting 2 feet away from you. They know. I look up and for the first time notice both of my in-laws just staring at me, for what literally felt like an eternity. As for second part of the story, there's a reason, or technically 3 delicious reasons why it was cut short. At that point, My wife's singular focus was on getting me out of the restaurant before I either puked all over the table or pissed myself, or an unsightly combination of both. So after a few spastic, two-handed waves goodbye to my in-laws, she rushed me to the door like a Secret Service agent evacuating the president. My night after that was a whirlwind of barfing and groveling, mixed with a few vain attempts at getting handsy back in the hotel room. But being the absolute awesome sweetie that she is, my wife stuck with me through the whole nightmare, whispering over and over in my ear, "Please don't die, we have a mortgage." Thanks for watching. Write in the comments which story was funnier.